Charlas de la noche. Palabras con imagen. El análisis de los acontecimientos que influyen en nuestra vida con el periodista Francisco Durán Rosillo.
Durán Rosillo te saluda y los saluda a todos ustedes, su amiga María Celeste Raraz, para invitarlos a que se suscriban a mi canal de YouTube, María Celeste Raraz, tal como mi nombre, donde les informo todas las semanas sobre entrevistas que tienen un tema que ayuda a mejorarnos como personas y de paso son interesantes. Las pueden encontrar en mi canal de YouTube, así que los espero. Y se suscriben gratis.
Hola amigos, bienvenidos una vez más a Charlas de la Noche, Palabras con Imagen. Me han pedido de favor gente de nuestra audiencia, porque nos escucha gente anglosajona, gente que tiene como primer idioma inglés, tanto gente nacida en Estados Unidos, hijos de migrantes mexicanos, como también gente anglosajona y afroamericana y asiáticos y de muchas nacionalidades que escuchan el programa para practicar su español, lo cual me da gusto. Pero me han pedido que ante cierta situación, y yo me lo tomé muy en serio, en lugar de hacer un programa traducido, hoy quiero llevar un mensaje muy importante tanto en español como en inglés. Hi there, welcome to Charlas de la Noche, Palabras con Imagen. Translated to English means nighttime line conversations or talks, words or images making with words or words with image. And tonight I am doing this program bilingually, do big aspect and big range of our audience are also people who born in the United States and has English as a first language. English is not my first language, it's my second language. I apologize for my pronunciation mistakes. And if you have any misunderstood, please try to visit the brief synopsis of the program. In the one you are going to see the main reason of this broadcast. Mexico is the country where more journalists are being killed lately. It's not Iran, it's not Iraq, it's not Syria, it's not Egypt. And then combined, they don't have the same big number or average of journalists murdered, working hard every day to find the truth. As many of you know, the truth is the basic aspect that support democracy, justice systems, that maintain a free world. But Mexico, in the current administration of Mr. Andrés Manuel López Obrador, or in English, Andrés López Obrador, is been changing a lot. The current Mexican president canceled the agreements of extradition with the United States. This government is not sending criminals, lords of the drug cartels, the most wanted by the FBI in USA, because he has a new policy: hugs, no gunshots. And he says that hugging criminals, he's going to stop violence faster than if the authorities chase criminals and stop them. To reduce the huge average of drug trafficking into the USA soil. And the reason why also I make this broadcast in English is because it's fundamental that many of you know President Biden sent to Mexican president a document detailing the high rate of young people who died by opioids and fentanyl drugs, derivated drugs, overdoses. What this means is that China produced all the chemical elements to do these drugs, and they send or smuggle via Mexican drug cartels to the United States. And what happened the last midterm election on June 6th? The Mexican president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, gave the election control. The cast of the votes is being given to the drug cartels. And they were managing the winning of the election. Some of the drug cartel members cast their vote carrying a AK-47 on the back. I'm going to try to find the picture for you. But tonight, I have many, many aspects that I would like to bring under your attention, because all the problems happening in Mexico in certain way are going to be very influential in the United States in the near future. And we cannot tolerate this situation. For example, the caravans of immigrants in the Mexico-US border, they are sponsored by Venezuela, Russia, and China. Why? Because they like to debilitate Washington policies about immigration. If you remember, in Eagle Pass, as never before, we have a crisis of migrants last summer that were there by thousands. And Alejandro Mayorkas has to give a press conference, Alejandro Mayorkas, the director of Homeland Security, explaining why immigration or border patrol agents on horses has to control the mass of people. Yeah, but no, I have a friend in the border patrol, and he called me right away, and he told me, Frank, nobody understands our job. We work 24 hours a day. We receive a mass of migrants with bags. The horse is very sensitive to bags in situations that looks like a weapon. And we don't know, honestly, if they are going to attack us with the instruments they carry on their hands. So it's very hard for them control people who is coming by thousands. And the sad part of the story is this summer, the caravans of migrants are coming to the Mexico-US border. Why? Because Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who is not having a clear business relationship with the US, he was very good friend of Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump make a lot of business. And that caravans are enhanced by López Obrador because he's playing dual situations. He likes that Donald Trump regain the presidency in Washington because Donald Trump is a good friend of López, and he doesn't care about drug cartels. And as López says, He is going to keep protecting drug cartels with hugs, no gunshots. And that is a very sad situation that frustrates me and motivates me to do this broadcast, because a lot of Mexican journalists are dying. A lot of drug cartels are coming to America. And America is not the same. In America, drug cartels have money, automatic dollars, to buy the citizenship. They go to a haircut place owned by Puerto Ricans, and those Puerto Ricans find the perfect candidate for wife or husband for that migrant, and give the citizenship with a fake marriage request. Then it's sad, but it's happening. And then the Mexican government is not the same, is not cooperating with the justice agreement, with the situations in the ones Mexico used to be not only the main commercial partner to the United States, also cooperates a lot with the FBI to stop and reduce the human trafficking, the trata, smuggling drugs, and why not? The terrorist organizations says, according to some intelligence reports, that they are ready to smuggle one day into the United States chemical weapons, what is very risky, and I really don't agree, and I don't like that. So if the Mexican president is already sold to the political interests of China and Russia, and he's helping the drug cartels who do the dirty jobs for the Mexican government. Drug cartels are murdering and killing journalists in Mexico who represent a jeopardy for the current administration. And the sad thing is that nobody is doing anything, nobody is caring, nobody really has a point of view. But in the current government are happening a lot of problems. For example, let me show you the first situation of something that is going to be a headache for Washington. Let me enlarge, and I intentionally kept the website search because I don't like to mismanage what I'm trying to tell you tonight. The current pictures you see below, I Google images of the deforestation of Tren Maya. Okay. The Mexican government has a pharaonic project since this government begins 3 years ago of building a railroad that cross the Istmo of Tehuantepec and the region of the Maya. Maya is an ancient culture that was living in the Yucatan Peninsula to the Istmo, the Tehuantepec. But look, the deforestation, they are killing millions of trees in the area. environmentalists, political leaders, Indians, original Indians from ancient cultures that are there since thousands of years ago are trying to say to the government or ring the bell, hey, you are killing our environment. And guess what? They don't care. Why? Because it is in a military, Chinese military project. Tren Maya is the tourist label to people don't protest. But parallel to it is the Trans-Isthmic Railroad that is going to move military equipment and commercial equipment from the Pacific Ocean into the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico in hours, beating the capacity of the Panamanian Canal. Some people could say, well, honestly, I don't care. That is a project that could not affect my life. Yes, it is going to affect your life a lot. Why? Because in the near future, this situation is not only generating conflict, economical, is not generating conflict politically, it is generating a huge conflict on the environment, on your health, on many situations that are happening every day. And if you see the pictures I am showing you right now, they are devastating. A huge nature reserve for the world where more than 1,200 species of plants and trees exist in the world. Nowhere else exists. They are also killing jaguars, all the nature, by a train that is going to be used by the Chinese government to expand their thirst of power in the world. And everything is focused to affect Washington. And with all my respect, I know how the Chinese culture is. Nothing against the Chinese population. But since Mao Zedong, remember the conflicts of the Tiananmen Square in Beijing, where students and workers were trying to stop canyons and military trucks that were attacking them. In that situation is very hard and very tough. And President Clinton, to suffocate the fire, to catch the fire, control the fire, he says, I must declare China the most privileged nation in the world. And everybody clapping. No way. What Clinton did is he financed Chinese dictators to become the owners of the world. And this is a very serious situation. This is a problem that if we analyze beyond, is going to be not only an environmental crisis for the world, because this area is a generator of oxygen and promoter of the ecosystem in the world. It's going to affect military. We don't need military tanks crossing the Mexican territory every day to control Caribbean, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua. In the other side, China likes to control the fishing and the traffic on the Pacific. And there are many situations coming on that people don't expect they are going to happen. But we, the journalists, we were working so hard investigating situations, because recently I see the American press, the press in English, don't publish anything. They don't mention a word of what is happening between Mexico and the US. But we must spread the word and spill the beans. Why? Because there is a very polemic situation happening in the last 3 days in Mexico. In the one, the son of the Mexican president is involved in a scandal of a residence in Houston, Texas. This situation is very polemical due this, and I am going to put you some graphic elements and tell you the timeline. Please cash the dime and be proactive to understand details about this situation. Number one, when the Mexican president believed that he needs to cancel the new airport in Mexico City, Aeropuerto de Texcoco, oil companies were very concerned about the Mexican socialist Mexican president destroy the oil industry and give it to China and Russia, that in the long range it is going to happen. But before that happens, the strategist of the oil industry brought this nice lady that you see in the plane seated, her name, Caroline Adams. Caroline Adams is native from Brazil, and she works on the oil companies, doing a lot of influence on legislators to promote buy of new equipment or open new refineries for oil plants. She does a lot of PR, public relations. So that lady was working on the Arab Emirates oil companies 15 years. She is very smart, a smart lady, multilingual, perfectly fluent in Spanish, Portuguese, and English, and she speaks some French. So Caroline was moved before the election happens, but when Mr. López Obrador was leading the polls as the imminent new president of Mexico, Caroline moves to Monterrey, Mexico. In Monterrey, Mexico, she was planning with two kingmakers about how was the best way, with her experience, multilingual experience, oil companies' credentials, how was the best way she can lobby the government of Andrés Manuel López Obrador to influence projects, investment projects, and don't give away the national oil companies, Pemex or Petróleos Mexicanos. Well, this lady, very influential, basically, she always traveled at this level in private planes. She met, incidentally, the oldest son of the Mexican president, José Ramón López Beltrán. José Ramón fall in love with this beauty, obviously. Any man can do the same. And what happens is this influential lady who was receiving a scholarship by former President Clinton and many things, surprise and manipulates the situation. And Caroline becomes the most influential person in the Mexican president. The day he swore as a president, Caroline was already in first line of the VIP guest, and she was also pregnant, apparently, of the son of the Mexican president. So, last week, a Mexican journalist called Carlos Loret de Mola was denouncing that this couple who resides in Houston, Texas, this couple was in a very fancy house, a huge house with a pool and a lot of rooms. And this journalist, Carlos Loret de Mola, denounced everything investigated by a non-profit organization called Mexicanos contra la Corrupción y la Impunidad, Mexicans Against Corruption and Impunity. Well, the Mexican president becomes so mad. He was completely out of control because all the journalists and everybody start to talk about this situation. And what happened from the official side on the Mexican president? He doesn't recognize that the situation needs attention, that the situation is a conflict of interest or corruption situation, because the contracts signed with these oil companies and providers of services and equipment, the contracts were signed by the administration of Andrés Manuel López Obrador. But no, he doesn't catch the fire. He starts the fire against this journalist doing basically a prosecution using his powerful situation as president and putting, sorry for the video, is experiencing a lot of quality problems. Very often I have audio and video problems because they try to censorship my broadcast in Mexico. They don't like Mexicans hear the truth about the conflicts of interest and huge corruption happening. But this president that you see on the screen is using the power of the state on his daily morning briefing to attack the most prominent young Mexican journalist, Carlos Loret de Mola, that is coming from a tradition of journalists in Mexico. His grandfather was a prominent writer and editorial writer. And guess what? Was murdered by the man, Manuel Bartlett Diaz, who is collaborating with the government of Andrés Manuel López Obrador. And López Obrador is detailing the income, you can see on the screen, Carlos Loret de Mola. He is discussing the income. Let me see if I can stop the video so you can read what's going on the screen. And calling the Mexican IRS, I stop there. Look, read. Yearly income of the journalist Carlos Loret de Mola. View focus on the background of the screen. 2021. And the Mexican president is detailing how much money these journalists make. And he says that if he cannot do it as a president, he is going to do it as a citizen to make the government, the federal government, investigate these journalists. Obviously, he doesn't say, but he likes to put these journalists in jail for a long time. Why? Because this journalist is being denouncing a chain of corruption of his government. He denounced on videos the two brothers of this president receiving bribes in cash in Mexico. He showed contracts privileging the relatives of the president by the government companies, giving fat checks to his relatives. Also, these journalists denounced a chain of corruption. And we are not talking about $1 million. We are talking about thousands of millions of dollars that government is giving away in a very dirty and corrupt situation. So my petition tonight, and sorry with my Spanish listeners, is ask to the American audience that we haven't, please spread the voice and forward this editorial, this video blog. And basically I'm broadcasting in a Spanish station that allowed me to do this in English tonight, because United States is very ignorant. United States audience. I don't know why Fox, CNN, CBS, that tomorrow changed the name to Paramount, NBC, ABC, are not informing about this chain of huge corruption happening next door with American companies, and they don't understand that behind all that dirty jobs is China and Russia. They like to put out of control Washington. They like to break Washington leadership because Vladimir Putin and the Chinese president, they like to hold American dollars and they like to control military power. And it's very imminent. Like 1 year ago, the Mexican president likes to control the Mexico Central Bank. Mexico, as well happens with Nixon, Nixon stopped to use the gold plan. The Federal Reserve used to have gold and they print more, sorry, we are live. They print money for that equivalent in gold. Mexico stopped using gold and they use American dollars. Now this president wants to take the dollars away and share with China and Russia. Why? I don't know if you heard. Vladimir Putin is the one that is buying more gold in the world. Why? Because he likes to control power. He likes to make the rubro very strong. As well, the Chinese president likes to make his money more powerful and be like United States. United States has another big weapon in the world, that is the American dollar. All the big business in the world are done in dollars. Nobody uses euros, nobody uses yens, nobody uses other currencies. So if you combine all this brief information, I give you the big picture tonight, please think before you decide. Next door is happening a plot to destroy United States of America. Be careful. Do something. Andrés Manuel López Obrador is sponsoring the drug cartels to kill journalists because journalists are the only one discovering all that plots and traps behind this dirty strategy from Russia and China to take out of control the USA. So Putin is invading Ukraine. Look, he moved some equipment, but he's not leaving the area. And Putin has a lot of spies in Mexico already controlling, as well China is putting his companies to build this transseismic railroad that is going to privilege the military industry of China and Russia and move a lot of equipment that when United States awake, they already lose control, not only in Panama, in Mexico, and nobody is going to do anything because we'll be too late. But let me show you the last graphic right now that I remember about it, my friends. But just this picture is going to tell you everything. When Mr. Ken Salazar, the American new ambassador in Mexico, arrives on Mexico prior the Mexican Independence Day, Andrés Manuel López Obrador invite and receive as VIP guests the dictators of Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Meanwhile, the new ambassador, Ken Salazar, days before, Joe Biden sent millions of vaccines for COVID to Mexico. Ken Salazar was seated in the sun with his Texan hat. Meanwhile, the dictators were on the main stage with López Obrador celebrating. That was an insult for America, a great partner, a great country. And we share families. We not only share the 3,000 kilometers of border, we not only share the most important agreement, TEMEC or NAFTA, commercially in the world that put Mexico as the main commercial partner. We also share families. Mexico was part of some territories of US, as Eva Longoria says to David Letterman. And I remember because it makes me laugh a lot. She says, we have to keep in mind that millions of Mexicans cross the border, but also there are millions of Mexicans like me that the border cross us. And it's true. Arizona, New Mexico, California, and many territories. So it's okay, that happened, but tonight our call, like journalists, is to Washington. Please concentrate on that relationship in Mexico. Mr. López Obrador is jeopardizing the stability of Mexico and consequently the end of the powerful economy of the United States and the military power of this great country. Lord bless America. I have Native American roots. My grandmother was a Kickapoo Indian in Texas that also the border crossed them, but it's a tribe that has the right to live in both sides of the border, Mexico and US. And I have some Spanish blood for my grandfathers. But the main important thing here is I am proud USA citizen. I love the United States. And please help or do something to stop the corruption on the current government of Mexico and stop the high aggressions of the Mexican president and drug cartels against the Mexican journalists. We have correspondents in Mexico City. I call Alfredo Corchado of the Dallas Morning News. I call Steve Fisher of Los Angeles Times, telling them, write something. They are liars. They don't write anything. They are lying, you American citizens. I know you care about it, but they don't care because probably they are part of the big bribes the Mexican president give in cash and dollars because they use the money they confiscate from cartels to bribe politicians, journalists, and they are killing the public opinion and they are jeopardizing the stability of the regional of North American stability policies. Thank you. Please forward this message because I consider it important. I apologize for my heavy accent and some misconception probably is in my grammar. I speak 3 languages and sometimes we make mistakes. I must speak Spanish in my broadcast, but Lord bless you, Lord bless America, and I'll keep you posted on this regard because we must stop this dictator, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Thank you so much. Lord bless you, Lord bless America, and viva México.
10 de abril, 10 de abril, vota pa' votarlo. 10 de abril, 10 de abril, podemos revocarlo. 10 de abril, 10 de abril, es tiempo de quitarlo. 10 de abril, 10 de abril, que se vaya pa' su rancho. Ya basta de mentiras y saquemos al traidor. Vayamos a las urnas por la revocación. México, tu gran pasión. 10 de abril, 10 de abril, no te quedes en tu casa. 10 de abril, 10 de abril, es nuestra esperanza. 10 de abril, 10 de abril, seamos una ola. 10 de abril, 10 de abril, votando harás historia. Y no al comunismo, la pobreza y el dolor. La libertad está en tus manos, sé un patriota con valor, defendiendo a México.
Frank Durán Rosillo te saluda y los saluda a todos ustedes, su amiga María Celeste Raraz, para invitarlos a que se suscriban a mi canal de YouTube, María Celeste Raraz, tal como mi nombre, donde les informo todas las semanas sobre entrevistas que tienen un tema que ayuda a mejorarnos como personas y de paso son interesantes. Las pueden encontrar en mi canal de YouTube, así que los espero. Y se suscriben gratis.
Escuchaste el análisis de la noticia, transparente como el agua, con el periodista Francisco Durán Rosillo.